Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today is April 28th. It is 11:05 a.m. Well, welcome to the Public Service Commission of South Carolina's weekly business meeting. Before we begin, please join me in a brief moment of silence. Thank you. Let's take roll. Present in the hearing room, we have Commissioners Caston, Powers, Belzer, and Jay Williams. Joining us virtually, we have Commissioners Thomas and Irvin. Commissioner C. Williams is on leave. Attorney Butler, please prepare or read the agenda. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, other members of the commission. The first order of business would be to set the next commission business meeting. Staff would suggest May 5th, 2021 at 11 a.m.
Wednesday, May 5th, 2021 at 11 a.m. We'll host the next business meeting here in the hearing room.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. We have a supplemental utilities agenda item. This has to do with Cherokee County Cogeneration Partners and Duke Energy Progress, and relates to the terms of a purchase power agreement, PPA, between the parties.
Is there a motion?
Chairman,
Commissioner
Mr.
Irvin,
Chairman, I have a motion, sir.
please proceed.
Cherokee County, thank you. Cherokee County Cogeneration Partners LLC has requested an additional extension of the interim and temporary extension of the terms of the power purchase agreements between Cherokee County Cogeneration and Duke Energy Carolinas LLC and Duke Energy Progress LLC. This agreement was temporarily extended for a 120-day period, which ended April 30, 2021. On March 1st, 2021, Attorney Doolin with the companies reported that the parties had engaged in mediation on February 26, 2021, that they had not begun discovery but were planning to jointly provide an agreeable procedural schedule on the next steps. Parties stated by letter of March 23, 2021, that it would, quote, be most helpful for the parties to attempt to reach consensus on these issues and provide proposed procedural next steps, including a proposed procedural schedule, end quote. As required by our order number 2021-189, the parties provided a suggested procedural schedule on April 1, 2021. Other than the parties' suggested hearing date at the end of June, the Commission adopted the procedural schedule of the parties for the submission of pre-filed testimony and exhibits in order number 2021-259. The parties have been presented with several options for a hearing date in either June, July, August, or September 2021. Just yesterday, the parties advised that the earliest date they were available would be the week of July 26, and that there is no longer a conflict for that date. Therefore, within 10 days from today, the clerk is instructed to set a hearing date for this matter as soon as possible during the week of July 26, 2021, and reserve 2 days for this hearing. With regard to the request for additional extensions of the current power sale agreement between Cherokee County Cogeneration and the Duke companies, I further move that the Commission review its temporary extension of these agreements for another 120 days. We will renew it for another 120 days or upon the issuance of a final order on the merits of the case, whichever occurs first. Day one of the 120-day period is May 1st, 2021. The last day of that period is August 28, 2021. I move that the Commission shall retain jurisdiction in this matter during this 120-day period to resolve any issues, and we preserve the right to consider whether or not it is appropriate to subject the rates charged and/or paid by any party during this additional 20-day period to a true-up. Cherokee should bear the economic risk of any possible overpayment from any extension of the 2012 PPA. I so move, Mr. Chair.
Hearing Commissioner Irvin's motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, starting with District 2, Vice Chair Belzer.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, other members of the commission. Moving on to the regular utilities agenda for today. Item number 1 is a request for approval of the Fifth Amendment to an interconnection agreement between WiMAX Communications Corporation and Bell South Telecommunications, LLC, DBA AT&T of South Carolina.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would move that the commission approve the Fifth Amendment to the interconnection agreement between WiMAX Communications Corporation and Bell South Telecommunications, LLC, doing business as AT&T South Carolina.
Hearing Commissioner Powers' motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, starting with Vice Chair Belzer.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, item number 2 is a request for commission consideration of a change in control of the Hargray Telephone Companies to Cable One Incorporated.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Powers.
Thank you. I would move the commission accept as information the notification in these dockets with regard to the change in control of Hargray Telephone Company Incorporated, Bluffton Telephone Company Incorporated, Hargray Incorporated, and Low Country Carriers Incorporated, doing businesses Hargray Long Distance to Cable One Incorporated.
Hearing Commissioner Powers' motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, starting with Vice Chair Belzer.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Item number 3 is a notification of transfer of control filed on behalf of Alliance Global Networks, LLC, and Velocity.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Powers.
I move the commission accept as information the notification in these dockets with regard to the change in control of Alliance Global Networks, LLC, to Velocity, a managed service company incorporated.
Hearing Commissioner Powers' motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote, starting with Vice Chair Belzer.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Item number 4 is the request of Palmetto Wastewater Reclamation, LLC, to amend its name.
Is there a motion?
Chair Williams,
Commissioner Caston.
I move that the commission approve Nuc Pro Tunc, the name change from Palmetto Wastewater Reclamation LLC to Palmetto Wastewater Reclamation Incorporated.
Hearing Commissioner Caston's motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, starting with Vice Chair Belzer.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Item number 5 is in docket number 2021-65E. We have the request for assignment and reassignment of territory, and also a request for approval of an agreement to limit corridor rights.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Powers?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that the commission grant the joint petition of Palmetto Electric Cooperative Incorporated, Edisto Electric Cooperative Incorporated, and Dominion Energy South Carolina Incorporated for the assignment and reassignment of territory in Beaufort, Jasper, and Hampton counties. Also move that the commission approve the agreements to limit corridor rights in this docket as fair and reasonable. The Office of Regulatory Staff has examined those matters and does not object to approval of these filings. ORS also pointed out that the petitioners, in its opinion, have given careful consideration to system economy, service reliability, and good utility practice, efficiency, and safety. ORS also asserts that no facilities or territories or any other electric suppliers are affected by the transaction. Finally, it appears that no customers will be affected by the joint petition. That is, the joint petition will not cause any customers to change their service. Based upon all these factors, I believe that the joint petition and agreements to limit corridor rights should be approved. ORS does recommend that the commission require the joint petitioners to file amended territorial assignment maps for Beaufort, Jasper, and Hampton counties to reflect the modifications requested in the joint petition. I move that the commission order the joint petition to file the amended maps as requested. I so move.
Hearing Commissioner Powers' motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, starting with Vice Chair Belzer,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Item number 6 is under docket number 2011-158-E. And we have Duke Energy Corporation moving for confidential treatment of the 2019 and 2020 annual reports on investments in exempt wholesale and generators and foreign utility companies.
Is there a motion?
Chairman Williams.
Commissioner Caston?
I move that the commission grant Duke Energy Corporation's motion for confidential treatment of the 2019 and 2020 annual reports on investments in exempt wholesale and generators and foreign utilities companies.
Hearing Commissioner Caston's motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote starting with District 2.
I vote
Vice
aye.
Chair Belzer.
Vote
Commissioner
aye.
Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, other members of the commission, item number 7 is under docket number 2020-229E and has to do with Dominion Energy South Carolina Incorporated's establishment of a solar choice metering tariff.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, this is Commissioner Irvin. I wanted to note it for the record that I have recused myself in this docket and I will not be voting.
Thank you for letting us know, sir. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, this is Commissioner Thomas.
Commissioner Thomas, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you. In docket number 2020-229E, I move that the Public Service Commission adopt a solar choice tariff that includes the following. As to residential, number 1, a requirement to take service under Rate 5 TOU rate, which provides a more accurate and cost-based rate that can also serve as a platform for additional DERs that a customer generator may adopt. Second, a minimum bill based on properly calculated customer-related costs with a $13.50 minimum bill, which would include a $9 BFC, or base facilities charge, as a placeholder for the purpose of analyzing the proposal, recognizing that the exact minimum bill and VFC should be set only after the commission determines in the pending rate case whether it is improper to consider distribution grid costs such as poles, wires, and transformers as customer related. Third, maintain annual netting but crediting excess on-peak generation against on-peak usage. and excess off-peak generation against off-peak usage, with any excess exports credited at avoided cost rates at the end of each year, which encourages sizing of systems no more than to offset their annual usage. For non-residential, fourth, non-residential customer generators will take service under Dominion's Rate 16 time of use rate general service. Fifth, all excess on-peak kilowatt hours shall be rolled over to the subsequent months as credits only against subsequent on-peak consumptions. And sixth, annual excess net exports will be applied as a bill credit at the same rate as the Commission determines from its order and docket number 2019-182E. And seventh, the customer generator shall have all right and title to own and transfer the renewable energy credits attributable to their generation. So moved.
Hearing Commissioner Thomas's motion, is there any discussion? Commissioner Thomas, thank you for your motion. There are a few things that I would like to discuss, and I would like to hear from my colleagues regarding some of my observations. During this hearing, especially the public testimony portion, I heard a lot of witnesses give testimony that, with all due respect, were factually inaccurate. The inaccuracies range from a misunderstanding of the roles of the Public Service Commission and the Office of Regulatory Staff to confusion about the various solar choice tariffs proposed by the parties. I believe a better understanding of the roles of the Public Service Commission, Office of Regulatory Staff, and the Department of Consumer Affairs, Consumer Advocate, along with a clear and concise and accurate statement of the parties' positions in the case, will greatly improve the public hearing portion of the process. I ask that the Commission staff work with the Office of Regulatory Staff, the Department of Consumer Affairs, Consumer Advocate, and future parties to create verified fact sheets for distribution to public witnesses before they give their testimony and for publication to the general public before the merits hearing. I think that would improve the process and the quality of testimony that the Commission hears to make sure that the witnesses have a fair opportunity to understand what's before the Commission. I also observed what I would describe as possible consumer protection issues. I heard several public witnesses say that they felt as if they were taken advantage of by residential rooftop solar salesmen who made promises that were never fulfilled, that put the witness in a strained financial position. In fact, more than one witness lamented that they wish they never installed rooftop solar. I find that testimony very, very concerning. Unfortunately, the Public Service Commission of South Carolina does not have jurisdiction over rooftop solar consumer complaints. I respectfully request that the Office of Regulatory Staff prepare and present an allowable ex parte briefing that reports on the number and nature of rooftop solar consumer complaints. Additionally, I respectfully request that the Office of Regulatory Staff work with Dominion Energy South Carolina, rooftop solar developers, and the Department of Consumer Affairs, Consumer Advocate to create a know before you buy fact sheet for dissemination within Dominion Energy South Carolina's territory. The goal here is to do the best we can to remove uncertainty and doubt about whether or not the risk is worth the reward for a residential rooftop solar customer, or any rooftop solar customer for that matter. Commissioner Thomas, the reason I can support your motion, sir, is that I find that Dominion Energy South Carolina presented evidence in support of a solar choice tariff, but that evidence was not sufficient, in my opinion, to meet their burden, their preponderance of the evidence standard. I also find that the Office of Regulatory Staff readily admitted that their proposal did not consider two prongs two of the three prongs of the General Assembly's intent as stated in plain and unambiguous language in the first paragraph of Act 62. While I appreciate their advocacy, it really didn't do much to help me fulfill the requirements of Act 62 as I understand them. I find in order to meet the statutory intent of Act 62, the Commission must consider all evidence in support of a solar choice tariff through a lens that accepts that it was the General Assembly's intent to build upon the successful deployment of solar generating capacity through Act 236 of 2014 to continue enabling market-driven private investment and distributed energy resources across the state by reducing regulatory and administrative burdens to customer installation and utilization of on-site distributed energy resources, avoid disruption to the growing market for customer scale distributed energy resources, and require the Commission to establish a solar choice metering requirement that fairly allocates the costs and benefits to eliminate any cost shift or subsidization with net metering to the greatest extent practicable. Those are the three prongs of the General Assembly's intent. From the way I read the legislation, there's no real way to determine whether one prong is more important than the other. I believe they have to be read together. I find that all three prongs of the General Assembly's intent is plain and unambiguous and must be, again, read together when approving any solar choice tariff. Now, one of the things that I focused on during the hearing was outcomes. During my time as a drug rep, companies, including my company at the time, would submit studies to physicians that say one thing or the other, usually in support of our product. And at the end of the day, patients just wanted to know whether or not the drug worked, whether or not it was safe, and how much it would cost them. It's very simple. And with the customer in mind, all customers, I wanted to know what is the cost shift. And I know it was arguments back and forth whether or not one existed or not. But just based on what we know, what we can touch, what we can put on paper, if you will, what would that cost shift be? I would want to know, or I wanted to know, what would the decrease in savings be under each proposal? And we heard a number of answers. I would hope that in the future, maybe the parties could work together to try to drill down on some of these, what I would consider basic fundamental questions that would inform the public and inform the Commission for that matter. But based on what I could find, it seemed to me that Dominion's solar choice tariff for a 7.2 kilowatt system would reduce cost savings to a solar generator, residential solar generator with that size system, by about 60%. I also see where a small system, someone who had a 3 kilowatt system, would experience a reduction in savings by about 26%. And I also see that under the ORS proposed solar choice tariff, savings would be reduced by 63 to 92% depending on the size. And it appears that the joint solar interveners proposed tariff reduced savings from the current net program somewhere between 5 and 11%. The reason that's important is I don't think it's possible for the Commission to determine whether or not a solar choice tariff would disrupt the market, the solar market, or continue to grow the development of not only other DER resources, but just solar, without knowing the change in the actual price, the average customer. So many of them we heard from during the public hearing, and a lot of them didn't believe that the NEM program as it stands today needed to change at all. And considering the positions that we've heard, I find it compelling that the joint solar interveners offered a tariff that would reduce savings, reduce cost savings, while not as deep as the Office of Regulatory Staff or Dominion, is still a reduction, which to me would also reduce any cost shift if we believe one is there. And I think there's room to make an argument that there are some costs that are being borne by the customers. Based on what I heard, I found them to be less than $1. And so, Commissioner Thomas, those are my observations. I support your motion, and I really hope that the misinformation can be addressed and corrected, and I really hope that we can create a consumer environment where citizens, elderly citizens, or any citizen for that matter, is not being taken advantage of by unscrupulous practices. Not to say that, not to make any disparaging comment about the solar industry as a whole, but just to bring light to the testimony that we heard. And that testimony was, I feel like I've been taken advantage of. I wish I never put the solar panels on our house. So hopefully the parties who have jurisdiction over those matters can come up with something and present it to the commission, just so we can feel better about what's going on in our community and not feel like we're setting folks up to be taken advantage of. Those are my observations. I yield the floor.
Chairman Williams.
Commissioner Caston.
I guess a couple of points that you touched on that I share and have similar concerns is from the testimony, from the, I guess, public testimony in particular, whether this predatory marketing exists or not, I don't know. And I understand that this commission has no authority or jurisdiction over any of that. But I do concur, whether it is the Office of Regulatory Staff or Consumer Affairs or some other agency within the state, should look at that and evaluate that, because if I understood some of that correctly, that some of these contracts may even say that there's a 2.9%, I don't know exactly, annual escalator, which I could see theoretically where you could be paying more for that than you would for electricity if you had nothing on your roof. And that deeply concerns me, that this may not, if this is occurring, and if it is occurring this way, may not be in the best interest of probably folks that can afford it the least, and the state as a whole. And you'd, I think, alluded to maybe a process. Well, I believe, in my opinion, and I've said in the past, that complex issues such as these could probably be handled much better if there was a robust and broad range group of stakeholders to help in the development or mitigate this before it comes to us. I believe there's actual and anecdotal information that, would bear witness to that, at least in my experience. And I hope all the parties strongly consider that in the future. And I too support this. Thank you.
Commissioner Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just briefly, I would echo both your sentiments and that of Commissioner Caston. I think we even heard from someone in their 79 or 80 years of age who found themselves under a 20-year contract. I can't say it's predatory, but I know I can look at my cell phone about once every day or so, or every other day, and there's some flash wonderful sale about solar being put in the emails, not just to me, but to everyone. And I really support that being looked into very, very carefully. It certainly is a problem, and it was sad to hear those comments that we heard, particularly from the elderly folks who honestly didn't know, I think, what they got into and could find no way out. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Powers. Is there any,
Mr. Chairman,
Vice Chair Belzer?
first I'd like to thank Commissioner Thomas for the motion. I have talked a lot with individual commissioners, and I appreciate all the opinions that have been shared, all the transcript sites and testimony sites that people have pointed out to me to look at, and I think that what has resulted from Commissioner Thomas is a motion that we each individually had input on, and I appreciate that. I agree with the concerns for the consumers. I think things can be made to sound rosy and everything's going to be good, and without maybe giving the full impact of what is happening. But I expressed the same concerns over some of the public testimony that we heard. But also, in resolving this case, went back numerous times to the statute and looking at not only the requirements of the statute, but the stated legislative intent. And we don't often get a statute where the legislature begins, it is the stated intent of the General Assembly. Most of the time we're tasked with gleaning that intent from the words used elsewhere in the statute without it being specifically spelled out like that. But in reviewing the evidence and the record before the commission, I'm of the opinion that that this is the only way to address the requirements to build upon successful solar generating deployment continuing from Act 236 and to avoid disruption to the market is to reject the proposal of Dominion, reject the proposal of ORS, and go with some of the points that the other parties have produced here. I think that it will be important at some point to eliminate any cost shift to the greatest extent practicable. I don't think we're there yet, because from the alternatives that we have, I don't think that we can eliminate that to the greatest extent practicable at this point and still meet the intent of this code section. Further, there's still a lot of debate on how much that cost shift is. It hasn't exactly been quantified. Some folks say that there is none. Some folks say that it's tremendous. So we've got to work and get a better handle on the actual cost and benefits, and we will be working on that with the parties as we go forward. But I will be supporting Commissioner Thomas's motion. I appreciate all the work and all the assistance that my fellow commissioners have given me, and as we've discussed this individually. We've had a lot of one-on-one meetings, and I do appreciate everybody's assistance. So thank you.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, this is Commissioner Irvin.
Yes, sir.
I think that just out of an abundance of caution, I'd like to clarify one observation that Vice Chairman Belser just made. She said when she spoke with all the commissioners about this docket, I believe she would agree that since I recused at the request of Dominion Energy, that she and I have not discussed this docket, nor have I participated in the briefings or discussed it with any other commissioner, just so the record's clear.
Thank you. Thank
Commissioner
you.
Belcher,
Thank
you
you,
agree with
Commissioner
that?
Irvin. I have not spoken with you about this docket. I appreciate that clarification. I have spoken with the commissioners that will be voting on the docket. I've spoken individually with those commissioners, but Commissioner Irvin was not included in those, and I apologize, but appreciate your clarification of that, Commissioner
Thank you,
Irvin.
ma'am. And I will not be voting, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Nor will I participate in the the writing of the issuance of a formal order. I've accused myself at the request of Dominion Energy and will not be participating in any way. Thank you, sir.
All right. Anything else before we vote?
Mr. Chairman, this is Commissioner Thomas again.
Yes, sir. You have the floor.
I'd just like to say I appreciate all of the comments kicked off by you, and then all of the other comments, and I agree with everything that's been said. And I would just like to add one other small comment, and that is that I believe that Dominion Energy has a really good customer service area based on what I heard, and also their solar department is involved in communications with many of these people, I believe, that ended up being unhappy with their situation. And I would just hope that perhaps Dominion has taken that little step further and worked with both their solar department and their customer service department to make sure that they are completely familiar with the enforcement capabilities at the Office of Regulatory Staff, and that they have readily available the contact information. That's just a small point, but wanted to make that. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas, and I would say it's a very important point because no one on this commission wants any ratepayer to be taken advantage of, and so whether it's through the Office of Regulatory Staff as a lead or Dominion, I don't really care how it's done. We just want to make sure that consumers are protected, that ratepayers are protected from bad business practices. I forgot to mention one thing. During the course of the hearing, the hearing on the merits and the public testimony, I need to point out how hard our commission has worked to get to where we are. Some of our hearings are lasting longer than they've lasted in the past, at least since I've been on the commission starting in 2018. And I really have benefited from a lot of the questions that have been asked by some of my new colleagues and really all of my new colleagues. And what I've observed is that it takes time. It takes time to really parse through these issues, to really get the information that we need to make a decision. And even then, the decision can be difficult. So I just want to thank my colleagues for not making this a perfunctory process, but actually digging through the record and asking witnesses questions to satisfy our concerns and get to the bottom of the issues that are presented to us. I also want to thank our staff, particularly our production crew, if you will. I got to tell you, coming back from deployment, I was surprised at how well the commission was able to operate during COVID due to the live stream and the TriCaster and WebEx and all this wonderful technology. I got to admit, I look forward to the day that we all can come into a courtroom together. But until that day, what our production staff does allows us to continue operating seamlessly. Sometimes we have some technological issues, but for the most part, we operate fairly well. And that's not because of the commissioners. That is because of a highly skilled production staff and all of our other staffers that support us here. So I want to thank them publicly because they do a great job behind the scenes. So those are all my comments, and if there's nothing else, we can vote.
Chairman,
Commissioner Caston?
I'm sorry, but listen to you talk about the others. I felt like I really had to say something too, being one of the one, two, probably three that aren't lawyers. I wanted to also thank the staff that we have too, not only the technical staff but the attorneys, because they have consistently been kind and smiled at some of my, I suspect, less than intelligent questions to them, and they I wouldn't say have humored me, but they have been very gracious, and I'm very appreciative of that, because this is tough. This stuff's tough, and the other commissioners, Commissioner Irvin, Belcher, I mean all the other commissioners. I personally want to thank you all for being that way, for working with each other, and I appreciate that immensely. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, this is Commissioner Thomas again.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Thomas.
I would like to take those thanks one step further. I completely agree with what's been said so far, but we really have a very, very good staff overall and very good support. And these people work really hard. I've been very impressed. And I just sincerely appreciate what everyone does. And just like to say thanks. That's all I had.
All right. If there's nothing else, we will vote, starting with Vice Chair Belzer.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
And Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Please allow the record to reflect that Commissioners Irvin and Williams, C. Williams, did not vote. Commissioner Irvin is recused, and Commissioner C. Williams is on leave.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, item number 8 on the agenda today comes to us with docket number 2019-182E. This was a generic docket to investigate two matters. One, to investigate and determine the cost and benefits of the current net energy metering program, and two, to establish a methodology for calculating the value of the energy produced by customer generators.
Mr. Chairman, I have a motion.
Vice Chair Belzer.
South Carolina Act 62, adopted by the General Assembly in May 2019, required the Commission to open this generic docket to investigate and determine the cost and benefits of the current net energy metering program and establish a methodology for calculating the value of the energy produced by customer generators. With regard to the cost-benefit analysis of existing NEM, net energy metering, I will refer to as NEM programs, I move that the Commission consider the useful life expectancy of solar voltaic systems used by NEM customers to be 20 years. All self-generation by a NEM customer generator within the billing period is to be considered equivalent to energy efficiency or demand-side management measures. With regard to cost of service implications, I move that the Commission generally adopt the cost of service analysis proposed by the solar interveners, using the theory that customer generators in a class are separated out and evaluated separately for analytical purposes only. To be clear, this analysis is not creating a separate class of service for customer generators, but this methodology is to be used for analysis only. The analysis shall include the following factors. 1. Examinations of both embedded and marginal cost so as to consider the impacts of customer generators on both historic and future utility cost and benefits. 2. This evaluation of theoretical customer generator classes shall include the cost of service analytical factors and required load data and/or methodology consistent with the electrical utility's current load research on a statistically significant sample of customer generators. Where this is not possible, it is reasonable to estimate the hourly usage profile of a customer generator using historic usage profiles and estimating the net hourly usage profile of these customers by applying the aggregate generation profile for that corresponding period recorded from all customer generators with production meters owned and controlled by the regulated electrical utility. The load of customer generators should be evaluated within the cost of service analysis on the basis of net hourly consumption from the electric grid. 3. For purposes of the customer generator cost of service study, a customer that is a net exporter of electricity during an hour should be recorded as having zero rather than negative consumption during the hour. This approach should also be followed to determine the aggregate hourly net load profile of all customer generators within a class of service. 4. The use of the same commission-approved cost of service allocators, including methods of allocating costs to the theoretical customer generator classes on which effective rates are based at the time of the evaluation, as well as the use of a test year that is more recent than the test year relied upon in the utility's most recent rate case. Requests to use allocators in test years differing from the most recent commission-approved rates must be supported by substantial justification. 5. Behind-the-meter consumption, i.e. self-consumption, should be valued using the same methodology as energy efficiency or demand-side management programs. With regard to the value of distributed energy generation under Act 62 methodology approved in Commission Order number 2015-194, I move that the value stack, computer's shutting off, that the value stack be retained with the following modifications. 1, that the stack be amended to reflect a 20-year useful life of solar PV generation assets. 2, that avoided line losses be calculated on a marginal basis considering daylight hours only. 3, that utility integration costs, which are determined in the avoided cost proceedings, should only be applied to exported power because behind-the-meter consumption is to be viewed the same as energy efficiency, and that integrated costs for customer-sited DER should focus more on distribution system-related impacts. Electrical utilities shall track incremental interconnection costs associated with customer-generated interconnections not covered by an interconnection application fee. 4, customer generators are not currently utilized to provide ancillary services. Therefore, electric utilities are hereby required to evaluate the creation of programs to leverage DER to provide ancillary services, especially as technology development leads to storage. 5, inclusion of a methodology to quantify long-run impacts of aggregate customer generators on avoided transmission and distribution costs. Thus, the electrical utilities shall collect data with sufficient granularity to provide the Commission with quantitative analysis of avoided transmission and distribution costs. 6, if the electrical utility engaged in financial hedging activities to hedge against rising fuel costs, then the electric utility shall keep sufficient data to determine the prudency of those costs. 7, if state or federal laws impose regulatory burdens on electric utilities going forward, then electric utilities shall provide the Commission with the quantifiable cost of complying with those regulations that limit carbon dioxide and methane emissions so that customer generators can be credited with an appropriate benefit in meeting those emission standards. And 8, with regard to the direct and indirect economic impacts that benefit the utility service area in South Carolina, I move that the Commission find that it is currently unable to adequately quantify the direct economic benefits from the record currently before us. However, we do recognize there are certain indirect benefits like job creation, infrastructure investments, and growth in the state's economy that do exist, but are difficult to quantify given the existing record. Going forward, I move that the Commission adopt Dr. Wright's analysis of direct and indirect beneficial economic impacts for future NEM proceedings. Through Act 62, the General Assembly has required the Commission to consider costs and benefits associated with renewable energy and to appropriately calculate those costs and benefits. To fulfill that statutory directive, I move that the Commission find that we must continue to better define benefits, both the components and the methodology for determining cost, whether they be economic, health, or other societal benefits. For purposes of this proceeding, I believe that the evidence supports the finding that there are direct and indirect positive economic benefits from rooftop solar generators to South Carolina's economy. However, I move that the Commission consider these benefits on a qualitative rather than strictly quantitative basis. When these values are able to be reasonably calculated from a quantitative perspective, then inclusion of the value of the NEM shall be considered. Mr. Chairman, that's my motion.
Hearing Commissioner Belzer's motion, is there any discussion? I would note that I was on military leave during this hearing, and I am recusing myself and will not vote. Any other discussion on Vice Chair Belzer's motion? All right, hearing none, we'll vote starting with Vice Chair Belzer.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston?
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Powers?
Aye.
The ayes have it, the motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, other members of the commission, item number 9 on the utilities agenda is in docket number 2021-34E. This is Dominion Energy South Carolina Incorporated's annual update on demand-side management programs and petition to update rider.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, this is Commissioner Thomas.
You have the floor, sir.
Dominion Energy South Carolina Incorporated has filed its 2021 annual update on demand-side management programs and petition to update the associated rate rider. The Office of Regulatory Staff has reviewed Dominion's petition and has filed a report detailing that review. ORS found that Dominion's updated DMS rate rider to be developed in accordance with the terms and conditions set forth in Commission Order Numbers 2010-472, 2013-826, and 2019-880. Both Dominion and ORS are in agreement on the cost to be recovered in this proceeding, and the total is $47,984,844. These costs are comprised of $29,164,781 for Dominion's amortized program costs, $16,950,616 for net lost revenues, and $1,833,447 as an amortization of the shared savings incentive. These numbers are not contested by the interveners in this case. Accordingly, I move the Commission approve the following new billing factors for retail electric customers by class for Dominion's DSM rate rider. Residential, 0.0024 cents. Small general service, 0.005. Medium general service, 0.00307. Large general service, 0.00131. These rates will be effective for bills rendered on and after the first billing cycle of May 2021. A residential customer using 1,000 kilowatt hours per month would have a bill increase of approximately 23 cents after the effects of the tax rider approved in Commission Order Number 2018-804 are applied. With regard to DSM programs, Dominion reported in its filings on significant aspects of program development and its implementation approach for the 10 DSM programs that it was offering at the end of program year 10. The company made 6 major changes to the program offerings, many of which aided in the continuation of program participation by customers, even during the COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Chairman, I believe that the Commission should thank Dominion for its efforts during the COVID-19 pandemic. Although the company was forced to suspend some of its programs, it was able to modify several of its programs so as to allow customer participation even during the pandemic. Mr. Chairman, I wanted to discuss the interveners and ORS's positions. Although Walmart Inc. had no issues with Dominion's filing, there were issues raised by ORS and the Southern Alliance for Clean Energy and the South Carolina Coastal Conservation League. ORS had 2 concerns. First, it found that the company's actual energy savings have fallen well short of the company's projections of energy savings for several years. ORS recommends that the company revisit the methodology used in establishing energy savings projections to ensure better alignment of actual energy savings with projections in the company's future filings. Second, ORS is also concerned that the Home Energy Checkup Program has failed to be cost effective in program years 8 and 9 and is projected to fail the cost effectiveness test in program years 10 and 11. Mr. Chairman, although I move that we adopt the ORS recommendations in this case, I would move that the Commission further examine the methodology used in establishing energy savings projections, the cost effectiveness of the Home Energy Checkup Program, and other DSM matters in a future proceeding. The Southern Alliance for Clean Energy and South Carolina Coastal Conservation League, or the joint interveners, assert that Dominion has acknowledged that 1% saving levels for DSM portfolios are cost effective and achievable in its territory. And that is a significant change in circumstances from those presented in prior cases. Ultimately, the joint petitioners recommend that the Commission order Dominion to file stakeholder-informed modifications needed for the portfolio to achieve the 1% or higher savings by its next EE filing. Dominion responded to the joint petitioners by stating that if the Commission approves this proposal, it would be ordering Dominion to be taking action that is already underway with the ongoing input through stakeholder process to which the joint petitioners are active members. Dominion denies there has been any change in circumstances as described by the joint petitioners. Mr. Chairman, I move that the Commission deny the relief sought by the joint petitioners in this proceeding. However, I believe that this Commission should continue to monitor that process and review it again in a future proceeding. I would also urge that the stakeholder group to further discuss the matters raised by the joint petitioners. I believe that more extensive discussion by this group should help clarify the difference in views between the joint petitioners and Dominion Energy on the issues presented by the joint petitioners. I so move.
Hearing Commissioner Tom.
Chairman Williams.
Yes, sir.
I
Commissioner Caston.
Commissioner Thomas, did you mean in the motion where you said 47,984,844? Did you mean 47,948,844? And
I
on the,
did.
okay, and on the residential, 0.00244 instead of 0.0024?
I believe you're correct.
All right, I just wanted to make sure I had that clarified. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hearing Commissioner Thomas's motion, is there any discussion, any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, starting with Vice Chair Belzer,
I vote aye on the motion.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Powers,
I vote aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, other commissioners, item number 10 is ND 2021-6-A, and the matter is before the commission for discussion regarding the appointment by the commission of one representative from a utility provider to serve on the South Carolina Emergency Rental Assistance Program Advisory Panel as required by Act number 17 of 2021.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Irvin,
I move the commission open this matter for nominations to receive the name or names of representatives from utility providers in South Carolina to serve on the South Carolina Emergency Rental Assistance Program Advisory Panel. These nominations shall remain open for a period of 5 calendar days from today's date. I'd also move that the commission staff be instructed to forward this information to the commission's advisory committee as well for proposed nominations. So moved.
hearing Commissioner Irvin's motion, is there any discussion? Fellow commissioners, I would say that at hearing the 5 days to leave the application open or the call for nomination open seems like a short period of time, but it's my understanding that this panel, I believe, is already meeting or will meet very, very soon. So the reason that I think 5 days is appropriate, Commissioner Irvin, is because we need to have someone, a utility provider, available to meet and do the business of the panel. So hopefully folks out there are paying attention and will submit nominations as soon as possible within the deadline. Thank you for your motion. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Vice Chair Belzer,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Urban,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Powers,
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, with that, we have completed the commission's utilities agenda for today, and we're ready to move on to the transportation agenda. Items 1 through 6 are Class C certificate applications, and I will read them as follows. First, we have the application of Extreme Limousine of SC LLC for Class C charter certificate. Number 2 is in docket number 2021-128T. It's the application of Matthew D. Brown Jr. for a Class C taxi certificate. Item number 3 is docket number 2021-129T. The application of H&G Care Transportation LLC for a Class C taxi certificate. Number 4 is docket number 2021-131T, which is the application of Northside NEMT LLC for a Class C non-emergency certificate. Item 5 is docket number 2021-134T, which is the application of Fullington Trailways LLC for a Class C charter bus certificate. And item number 6 is docket number 2021-135T, the application of Greco Transport LLC for a Class C stretcher van certificate.
Is there a motion?
Chairman Williams,
Commissioner Caston,
I move that the commission approve the applications for Class C certificates in items 1 through 6 described by Mr. Butler.
Hearing Commissioner Caston's motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Vice Chair Belzer,
Aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Urban,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Powers,
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Item number 7 is the request of Matthew Aaron Phillips, DBA Aaron's Taxi Service, to suspend his Class C taxi certificate number 9095.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Powers?
thank you. I move the commission grant the request of Matthew Aaron Phillips doing business as Aaron's Taxi Service to suspend Class C taxi certificate number 9095 until April 20th, 2022.
Hearing Commissioner Powers' motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, starting with Vice Chair Belzer,
Aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Urban,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Powers,
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Item number 8 is a request for extension of time to comply with commission rules and regulations by Janetis Kinlow, DBA A&J Quality Transportation.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Powers?
I move the commission grant the request of Janetta's Kinlock doing business as A&J Quality Transportation for extension of time until August 22nd, 2021 to comply with the commission's rules and regulations.
Hearing Commissioner Powers' motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, starting with Vice Chair Belzer,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Urban,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Powers,
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Item number 9 is also a request for an extension. It's in docket number 2008-140A. We have a request of American Safety Movers, Inc. for an extension of time to file its 2020 annual report.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Thomas?
I move that the commission grant the request of American Safety Movers Incorporated for an extension of time until June the 30th of 2021 to file the 2020 annual report.
Hearing Commissioner Thomas's motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, starting with Vice Chair Belzer,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Urban,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Powers,
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Item number 10 is the request of Belmont Luxury Home Care LLC to cancel its Class C certificate.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Thomas.
thank you. I move that the commission grant the request of Belmont Luxury Home Care LLC to cancel Class C non-emergency certificate number 8896.
Hearing Commissioner Thomas's motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, starting with Vice Chair Belzer,
Aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Urban,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Powers,
Aye.
Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, that does complete the transportation agenda and indeed completes the business before the commission for the commission's agenda for today.
All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We will have our next business meeting May 5th at 11 a.m. See you then. We're adjourned.